So, hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to this conversation on attracting, retaining, and aligning millennials. When we were together as a team putting the concept together, we realized that, of course, millennials is a very, very big component of our workforce. So 1/3 of India's population come under the millennial segment, and 46% of Indian workforce is millennial today, and that's growing to up to more than 65% by 2020. And that's generic terms, but I think in many organizations represented in this group today, that number is already a reality. So what we're going to do as a team is brought about some of the dilemmas and the challenges that we think all of you have as HR professionals. But before we start, should we do a quick round of introductions? Mayuk, you want to start? Yeah.
Yep. Hi, my name is Mayuk Maiti. I work for Tata Capital. I am basically a professional who comes from the business part as well as HR. So in Tata Capital, I look after currently the shared services, HR, IT projects, infrastructure expansion, administration, etc.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Malcolm D'Souza. I come from a company called Edwards Life Sciences. We are a company which has really a passion to really help patients, and that's where we started off. And we do heart valves as a parental business, and along with that, we have products like critical care and hemodynamic monitoring systems and THV transcatheter heart valve. I head the entire function of HR as a generalist HR, doing everything put together, whether it's performance management or recruitment, everything, or training for that reason. So that's where I am.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome. Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, hi, I'm Abhishek. I'm the founder of Goodera. So Goodera is a technology company in the social good space. We have a CSR management platform that helps companies understand the impact of their CSR dollars. Currently, we are live in 70 countries. In India, 25% of India's CSR money is managed on a platform which is about 2,500 crores a year. We also have an employee volunteering management platform that helps employees at our clients get high quality volunteering experiences. There are about 300,000 employees volunteering on the platform as on today, helping about 40,000 non-profits across different parts.
Welcome Abhishek. Dimple?
Hey, I'm Dimple. I'm part of Sapient Razorfish. It's a global consulting organization focused at addressing today's digital business transformation. We are an organization of strong culture, and we immensely value that. We are over 10,000 people in India.
Welcome. Thank you. Amit?
Hi everyone, Amit Vaish. I work for Barclays, where I have responsibility for heading HR for our technology organization in India. And as part of which, a very important role that I play is to support a global transformation program that is directed at making the bank more nimble and agile, and supporting the open innovation platform that we run in India to deliver innovation to the group. Very much an HR person by background and my work experience, and very much an HR person at heart.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And welcome. So I think one of the things that I wanted to start as we warm up on the conversation of what we are doing differently for millennials is to kind of get a sense from each one of you to really reflect and tell us what is the one word, if you were to take one word for the millennial population, and not really a word which is necessarily a cliche word, but something that you personally have experienced. What will be that word for you?
Future.
Yeah?
So for me, it will be agility.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say impact.
I would put it in a different way, actually.
One
I think.
word.
Oh, okay. One word. I would say respect.
Respect?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Demanding.
Okay, great. So if that's how we look at this population, saying demanding, impact, future, what did you say? Agility and respect. How is this really so different? Because probably when we started, except you're the only millennial in the group.
Yeah.
But when we started, we probably also were the future. We were also probably restless and so on and so forth. So why is these populations so different? Why is it intrinsically so different?
I think there are three fundamental changes, I would say. If you see Generation X, as most of us are, and few, of course, millennial, I would say what has fundamentally changed are two external factors and one internal factor.
Yeah.
The two external factors I would say one is the choices that one has in choosing what wants to do, right? And second is the social media, where peer influence from peers, influence, communication, etc., all come together as a part. So these are two fundamental differences that I see from the external sources. From internal sources, I feel one fundamental thing is that while compensation and etc. has become a hygiene factor, so nobody wants to work for a low compensation, but it has become a hygiene factor.
Yeah.
But what is fundamentally different is that the millennials come from a background where they are no longer the sole bread earners, or the families don't depend on them.
Yeah.
Right? So they have that ability to take the risks.
Yeah.
So
Freedom, a little more freedom, financial freedom.
Yeah. Because their parents are, in terms of economic growth and etc., are well off compared to the generation that was before. So that these fundamentally has then altered the mindset, subconscious mindset of individuals from this millennium.
Wonderful. So that's, you think it's sociological?
Correct.
And from business perspective, that's the reality.
Correct.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
So one thing that I would like to add there is also the exposure to technology. Okay, when we started, the way we experienced the world was very different than how millennials actually experienced the world. So their starting point was much different than our starting point. And if you look at the environment or the ecosystem where they operate, think, or they desire to move ahead or get things or demand things is very different than the previous generation.
Correct.
And that is like one of the major reasons for this difference in whether it is about agility, flexibility, good pay. For them, it's not about like basics. It's like more than basics. For us, it was mostly around basics.
Yeah. So if I request you to now think about what does that really mean, and millennials, I think millennials have been in the workforce for so long. For how long now? So 6-10 years maybe?
Turn of the century, so about a decade old.
A decade old. So it's not a new topic, and I think that's one of the things that keep coming to us. It's not really about the what and the why, but the how. So I'm really keen to understand, Abhishek, if you want to start by telling us, how, because you're a millennial. So what is, as wearing the hat of a millennial yourself, and also as a leader who is growing an organization very rapidly, what do you think is the real big how that companies need to change?
Yeah, I think probably I'll give some anecdotal, things on this. So one is that, millennials have access to a lot more data and information just because of the internet and social media and different things. So they get different things. So for example, the kind of motivations that they have are very different. So it's not just about the money, for example, or it's just not about where you're based. And millennials want to go to rural India and not probably the most developed part of the world, or they want mission and impact much more than a lot of the other stuff, or values for millennials. And when we started Goodera, then for us values is not a piece of paper that you paste in different parts of the office, but actually that every decision is taken based on that, and that reflects in the product and the offerings and across organizations. So I think I would say much more need for credibility because of the access of data, and the credibility comes which is more bottom up rather than top down, and each individual needs to know that how they contribute to the bigger picture and not just the work that they're doing. So we try in different ways to do it, right from getting our employees to volunteer first rather than just selling a volunteering platform, or getting engineers to see the impact of their products so that they actually do it much better or think through the problems and stuff.
So how have you, an organization that it's a new organization founded by a millennial, employing a lot of millennials, it's a little easier, right? Because at the end of the day, the DNA is like that. For majority of organizations represented in this group, we are changing. Still our leaders are, what are we?
Gen X.
We are Gen X. So how do you transform? Happy to hear everyone's point of view.
It's a great
how
question
they do it.
actually, and I can give you an example from our organization, which as a group, as a financial services institution, we are 325 years old. So I mean, it is significant. I mean, in terms of just the legacy that successive generations have inherited. I think one of the things we have done quite successfully to sort of engage with this millennial generation and also engage in a way that helps us to partner with them on solving business problems in an innovative way is to launch our open innovation platform, which we did about 2 years back in India. It's called Rise. You can visit thinkrisemumbai.com for a look-see of what it looks like. And I think we've kept that at an arm's length from the organization. So it's almost got its own brand, identity, purpose, and the place looks and feels very different, right? So compared to a traditional office or an IT environment, because it has the feel of a startup, I think, which is usually exciting, energizing for the millennial population, and it has its own sort of work processes. It has its own ethos, and it works wonderfully well because on the one hand, millennial population that works over there gets the comfort, security, and the stability of a large legacy institution, and at the same time, I think they get the experience of working in a startup environment where they can take risks. It's fine for them to fail, provided they sort of learn successively and scale up, and also for them to come up with innovative solutions that solve business problems. So I think you're able to create almost like a mini culture within a large legacy institution.
Yeah. How does that help though?
Yeah.
Because I'm always worried about, is it something that kind of we are trying to change, but is this something that you actually create even a more divide?
Yeah.
Because I know of a large tech company that is actually created separate office spaces.
Yeah.
And we're like, is this actually integrated and including people, or are we creating even a larger divide? They're saying, okay, you're a millennial, so here is a cooler workplace. Yeah. But for everyone else, you don't have that access.
So there is, I think, active engagement across both these ecosystems. You can't take away the fact that this is very much an integral part of the bigger institution. The mentors, I think the coaches, people who actually come in and provide guidance and direction are people with some experience over there. But at the same time, the purpose of keeping it at an arm's length is so that just the internal bureaucracy or decision-making systems don't slow things down.
Yeah, so I think that is very important. We can't change in one go, so let's start by. Okay, so that's one dimension, which is the physical space.
But I also think that at least in Tata Capital, the way we do it is that while there are systems and processes that we keep in mind, because you're looking at transparency, you're looking at faster communication, you're looking at agility. So basically, you're re-engineering all your processes to suit that requirement, but you are not differentiating those processes and telling that look, this process is for millennial and this is for somebody else. For example, I'll take you a simple example of the HR processes. So 3 years ago, we took a call that we will move to a paperless HR organization. So we went ahead and created that. Now that paperless HR organization was initially designed keeping in mind that at least 50% of our workforce would be millennials. But having said that, today 100% of our employees use that work processes. So right from the topmost, from the MD to the last guy, if he has to mark attendance on the system, he has to mark attendance on the system. So it's not optional mandate. So in a way, it sort of creates
everyone's change.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for us, we have changed the way we look at things. Like in our organization, we have I think around 6-70% of the millennial workforce, and usually we're looking at how do we really look at this workforce to be engaged with the company like Edwards, because we are a small group in India and doing super specialty product line. So being millennials, what are they really looking at? So I think we did small things like removing attendance. So we don't mark attendance anymore. They can come in anytime, leave anytime. The supervisor, they just need to be aligned with the supervisors when they are doing work and they're completing the job on time. So whether they do it from their home or they do it from the office or they do it in 3 hours of the day or 6 hours of the day, it's nothing to do with the company anymore. So we don't track that. And at the same time, we're looking at ways how would you really brand the organization forward. Like for example, we started out with companies with great managers, and we were the company which actually won that, and that was the start of the company, and we were also looking at currently at moving to best employer.
Yeah.
So this year we are on the verge of going there. We have to still learn a lot of things to really be there. It might take some more time to really be there.
But
that's
the intent.
the
Important
intent to
is
be
the
there,
intent.
yes. And by that, it's like, because millennials look at, their managers and they really see how do their managers treat them. That's the reason I said respect.
Yeah.
The respect comes from how do the manager treat them, and that's where they stick to the organization.
Yeah.
If you give them the opportunity to grow, you give them the required training, you give them the required respect, you give them the required culture, they will stick to the organization for long. And that's how we started doing it some years back. We moved from 48% attrition to today 5% attrition in the last 3-4 years back. So that's how we were really successful, and we have a lot of things around that. So we do wellness programs. So we try to focus on 5 different pillars of wellness, including community service, to physical fitness, to financial fitness, and along with that we also try to do medical fitness, whether you do medical screenings or you do eye testing. So a lot of things. So we target to do 2 programs every quarter, and we try to target these things so that people are happy. Currently next week we are doing Zumba. So a lot of things, activities around that, to bring it to a more robust organization.
How do we manage all these? I mean, how do we manage, delivering business impact, organizing Zumba? I mean, what's going on? Do we really have the bandwidth to do that? How do we let go and allow people to self-organize? I don't know if that's possible. Whether
I think that's the key, right? So today, I mean, to your earlier question, and in a way, I think it's related. What differentiates this generation? I think it's the freedom. It's the choice, right? And I think the more you empower them, the more you enable them to make choices and determine decisions that are relevant to them, I think the more engaged they will be. So it is a problem of plenty to have, but at the same time, it's a good thing, because someone has choices that are uniquely defined, by their own sort of backgrounds and aspirations. And I think just trying to personalize, choices that you offer to them, personalize experiences that you can provide to them. If somebody likes Zumba, then you make that available to them. Somebody likes to, physical fitness or well-being or citizenship activities to go and give back to society. I think you make that option available to him or her. I think that is a tremendous engagement opportunity.
So for us, it's slightly different because 80% of our people are millennials. Okay, so, and what he said makes sense. You have like a plenty of offerings for them. They can pick and choose that they want, and they're used to that. Okay, if you restrict them with limited options, they don't like it. They like too many options, and they would pick the one that they feel resonates most with them.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem, and they're exposed to different kinds of things.
But I think the organizations also, when they're launching programs, they would do a benefit impact analysis. You would not simply spend on doing XYZ program, just
what's the outcome?
Somewhere the effectiveness and efficiencies of those programs need to be monitored and continuously renewed, because what for the millennials, what work, and today we are talking about millennials, next a few years Gen Z, and so this span of time is shortening every day, and the demand cycles also. So it's like a product introduction, like cars that you see. The lifespan of the product life cycle is becoming shorter and shorter. So like that, for all the organizations, I think that demand for innovation in processes, services, products. If we call ourselves, as HR for example, we call ourselves service provider. Employees are customers. So that is very important for us to constantly see what the impact of the programs that we are launching, how we are monitoring them, and how are we continuously renewing them.
So Abhishek, because we're talking about measuring, and I think there are over 3 lakh employees now in the Goodera platform, and in your case it's really about giving that freedom in a social cause. How are you seeing the data showing whether more millennials are using volunteering, whether organizations are actually seeing impact of that time and effort that goes into volunteering?
I think just before that, on the millennial aspect, we have a reverse process of how do we get senior folks integrated in the company. So the first time we hired someone more than 50, we asked them, do you eat Maggi?
Are you comfortable? Is it okay? Can I call you by the name? No? So
that was actually a reverse process. But I think on the volunteering piece, and then ultimately companies need ROI, and ROI need not be the financial ROI, but I think for us the key ROI is the employee NPS. So when they go and volunteer on the ground, is it, do the employees like it? And that means do they feel they're creating an impact? Do they feel they're doing it with their teams? Do they feel that they should go out on a weekend and not just on an office day and do volunteering on a paid time off? So there are different ways in which we see impact, and I think for us, we knew that when we started the product out, the product wasn't that great. We knew the product wasn't that good, but the employee feedback was tremendous. So in terms of the reviews which people put up on our platform, and then which all went to social media. So in fact, one of our clients told us that this is probably the best thing that employees are talking about the company on social media. And we never realized that that's a use case, but that was something which one of our clients said is very, very important. Or someone said that we have delivery boys, this is the largest e-commerce company, and we can't take them to a 5-star hotel for engagement, but this is something which we can actually do, and then realize that the senior leadership and the delivery boys are volunteering together.
Correct.
And that
just breaks the
divide in a big way, and all of them contributing to a bigger cause. So it's not that it's the office work, or it's not off-site. It's actually, sometimes people think, we are doing this off-site for team bonding, but is there any end value or output out of it? Yeah. Whereas on volunteering, when you do, even under an off-site, there is impact on the ground. So I think overall we have seen, different ways to capture that impact. We also give volunteers impact of their hours. So for example, if you're helping, build resumes, and if someone gets a job, then you get to know. So then you tend to volunteer more because you can see the impact. And we have seen when people go on the ground and volunteer, they also donate and can actually see what's happening on the ground. So overall, it creates a win-win for everyone, for the company, for the employee, for the non-profit, and for the society, which is a loop which we think grows over time, and especially for millennials. And then, for example, my parents or grandparents went to temples, or that was a big thing. Millennials probably, we were like atheists maybe to start off with. But I think volunteering is a way of religion for us in some way or the other. And then you want to go on social media and talk about it because, you want to do the right thing. And you want to do the right thing, maybe not because you feel it's right, because you can show that you're doing the right thing to, your friend group and stuff. So there are a lot of different aspects to it.
Add to the ROI, I think I'll share an example. So we see millennials, they come as individual contributors, and they want to grow very fast. They want to be managers quickly. Maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, they want to be managers. Now, how do you manage their aspiration? So we tried a very simple model. So while they be individual contributors, we train them to be managers. So whether it's people management skill, problem solving, performance management, so we train them to do that over the period of 3 years, 4 years. Whether they are there or not, we don't know. They might be there, they might not be there. We train them to do that, and by doing that, we saw that we had certain people ready for the next role. So whenever we have the next bench of managerial position which is empty, we have always filled people from that pool. So that has really brought us a lot of returns in terms of what investment we do, because we get them from the pool. So they know the business very well, because they are niche business. So internal people makes a lot of strength. So we get them there. They are highly performing when they come there, because they know the business, they know the people around. Their relationship management is really good. They know the customers. So that has really brought good return on investment from what we have invested in them. So I don't see that.
How do you create those opportunities though? Because I'm hearing you say, as a CEO founder myself, how do you provide those opportunities of managing people? You learn how to manage people by managing people. You don't learn how to manage people in a training program or in a... So how do you provide those opportunities? And I don't know if some organizations are using volunteering for that as well, or if you are using volunteering for leadership exposure.
So volunteering is being used for leadership exposure, and also because these people want to do multiple things. Okay, they want to stick to a job, but would want to extend their arms to other things, and voluntary work really plays a very pivotal role there, because it is something which they resonate with. And also you can create some opportunities there and pick up whatever they want to do, whether it is about environment, whether it is about underprivileged children or about education. But I think when you talk about development of millennials, it's more about curating them and also providing ample opportunity for them to pick up. because they need fast growth. Okay, they are not the ones who would want to follow the traditional approach that we have towards growth. And as an organization, it's important that you create that platform.
Does it create too much pressure in the system because you're actually providing opportunities, but do you have those roles as well too?
That's the challenge actually, because if the more you get into the space of personalization, customization, to be able to understand the choice of one, the more it means that as an organization you must be flexible. So it does put a lot of pressure on your traditional systems, processes, infrastructure, and some of the people who have responsibility for decision making, because they need to make sure that A, those choices can be brought to life, and B, that the experiences that people get out of, the millennials get out of those choices are worthwhile. Because if they don't find value out of those, they're most likely to go back, then the opposite effect will happen actually. So there is constantly, I think, the sort of reflection on what are we doing to make sure that the choices we have enabled are actually creating the value that they're expected to deliver.
So I'd love to maybe do a round on, one of the things that you have done, and we'll make it very brief. One of the things that you have done that really worked when it comes to either attracting or engaging or aligning millennials, something that really, really worked. And one thing that really backfired. Then, from our perspective, sitting in our own generation, we thought that this was a great idea, and then suddenly somebody just showed the mirror and say, "What are you thinking?" Anybody who's brave enough to share?
Sure. So I think what is
and you can share the other way around. Something that you did for the older generation, and you really realized that backfired. Anybody wants to start?
So I can talk about what has worked. Okay, I think what has worked for us as an organization is creating ample opportunity for growth. People are driving their careers, they are maneuvering their career, they have plenty of options, and they are accountable for whatever career path. And because we do a lot of cutting edge work, people get that opportunity, they value it. As an organization, the culture is of openness, transparency, and it is totally a flat structure. So there is no hierarchy. You appreciate creativeness, creativity, innovation, excellence. Those are some of the parameters. One thing which hasn't worked is communication. Okay, the channel of communication, because I think we still are following the legacy system. And it's to do a little bit with the leaders. Okay, we don't use the latest platform to communicate, and you have so many ways to communicate to millennials. We don't even use language which resonate well with them. So that's
yet to be cracked.
Yeah, because there's an analogy which we refer to is we have managers via Elvis Presley and they're talking to Justin Bieber. Okay, so the flow of communication just
gets broken somewhere. Wonderful. Thank you, Dimple.
I think what's worked very well for us is to just taking our technology value proposition to the market and communicating it very attractively in a very compelling way. And as our group CEO says globally that today as a bank we are nothing but a technology company with a balance sheet, and I think everybody knows from experience that people will naturally gravitate towards all things technology, right? It's cool, it's it's enriching, and I think people see themselves growing and learning in stuff that is usually exciting or energizing for them. So I think the just communicating to people that we will give them a startup-like work environment, and we actually make that happen, through our partnerships with fintechs and the other startups, and giving them opportunities to take risks, almost do the entrepreneurial stuff that we would want them to be doing to solve important business problems under the guidance of trained, experienced mentors from the organization, and I think that has worked extremely well. The other point I want to make is that when we talk about attracting millennials, it's not just about hiring them or acquiring them on your balance sheet. It's also about partnerships with millennials, which are equally important today. So they may not belong to your organization, but if you're partnering with them in some capacity, it is a very important part of your value proposition that can be realized out of that. The other thing is, what has not worked is, or what is still work in progress, I would say, is I think just making sure that the frontline managers, like she said, I think the frontline managers have the skills to be able to appreciate the generational differences, what works for them, and B, sort of almost step back from the traditional line manager roles and responsibilities, and look at this generation for what it brings and how they can harness the potential out of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For me, I think because you rightly said, why there are no opportunities coming up. So, no problem.
I think it must have reached already. Yeah, go ahead. So what has worked?
So as you rightly said, where are the opportunities coming from? So yes, there is a challenge. So there are no opportunities coming up day in and day out because the size of the company does not bring in. There's a managerial role every day. So what worked for me well is we created some projects around the businesses, and the people who are aspiring and we feel they are aspiring and they need to be there, we put them on a project. And projects are purely KPI driven. They go and work with somebody, they have the pure KPIs to be hit, and if they hit those, they get an incentive towards that. So that really works, and these people then over the period of time are seen in those projects. They are successful, and whenever there's an opportunity coming up, those are the first people who get picked up with the managerial roles. That's worked very well for us. On the second thing, which I would not say not work, but something which we are in work in progress, as we rightly said.
You guys are very positive. Everything is, whatever is not working is just going to work very soon.
Yes. So the idea around that is to make the supervisors more holistic in terms of more as a people's manager, and to be more respectful, build the culture around what the organization is, and to really bring them to the level that they take their peers down below to the next level. That's what we are working on.
Mayuk, Abhishek, who wants to go next?
Yeah.
So you can talk from what you've seen organizations doing well that's working, and something that you've seen is not working. And if you want to talk about Goodera in particular,
no, probably I would talk about some of our customers and what you've seen.
Yeah.
So I think what doesn't work. Let me start with that. So I think especially our expertise is in the CSR doing good space. So what doesn't work is top down. So the CEO saying, okay, our company should focus on environment, or our company should focus on education.
Mm-hmm.
I think that doesn't work because everyone wants to contribute to that, and maybe not all of them relate to that. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, the CEO's wife who decides, or the spouse, I think, or the way around. So I think that is something which doesn't work. What works is when it's bottom up, when employees themselves are contributing towards a bigger cause, when they have the choice to contribute where they want to, give time through volunteering or donations or stuff, and that just not from a doing good space, but actually builds teamwork, and it helps employees to believe that the company is just not at the top, but across, and everyone is as important. And especially in this CSR space, you could do that. It's much easier to do it compared to, let's say, in finance or marketing, where it might have to be done top down. But I think especially in the CSR space, it's actually very easy to do bottom up and make everyone important. A person might be an intern in the company, but might be doing the most critical job for the non-profit. And then they feel more respected, and they feel a sense of doing something, and there is also instant gratification, which is important. So I think that's what.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks so much.
For us, I think quite a few things worked, but I mean, all that things that people said. We also have, career options, for example. And when I mean career options, it's not only for the managerial people. We have a large feet on street population, and millennials are there also. Non-managerial staff whom we recruit, and they're on the field doing collections, doing extra sales, and etc. So even creating fast track programming even for them, and all those have worked very well. It has created higher retention. It has created all those things. Our technology platforms, innovation through technologies and etc. have worked very well. But one thing I think is yet to work is that we started creating a knowledge management platform within the organizations, and we started creating communities, hoping that the millennials will naturally come and flock together around communities in terms of idea sharing, if they have common issues and etc. For some reasons, it doesn't seem to work very well now. We need to revisit and see why it is not. Intuitively it should work, but it's not working. So we will need to figure out what is not working so well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great. So I think we've covered everything we wanted to
Yeah.
cover. So thanks, Mayuk, Malcolm, Abhishek, Dimple, Amit. Thank you very much. And thanks so much for all of you for joining us in this conversation as well. And we look forward to welcome you again with some more conversations with CHROs and entrepreneurs in the space of HR and work as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.